From collectiveevolution.com. Have governments actually been reverse engineering extraterrestrial technology? By Arjun Valia. It's hard to know where to begin when writing on a subject that seems to top the Google search engine charts year after year. It's no secret that the world is fascinated with the idea that intelligent extraterrestrial life did, and currently could be, visiting our planet, and regularly. The unfortunate part about the phenomenon is that the world rarely sees evidence for it presented in a credible way. Nearly all mainstream media outlets, news anchors, and journalists do more harm than good, thanks to their owners/masters, who actually do know all about it, discrediting a topic that has plenty of proof behind it. Either it's not discussed at all, or it's done through ridicule. Yet the very first director of the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, flat out told the New York Times in 1960 that, behind the scenes, high-ranking Air Force officers are soberly concerned about UFOs, but through official secrecy and ridicule, many citizens are led to believe the unknown flying objects are nonsense. I'm led to wonder whether the connections we've written about in the past between the CIA and the media included official disinformation campaigns pertaining to the UFO, extraterrestrial, subject, and if so, whether that's still happening today. You can explore these connections, and a few of the actual documents straight from the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, in the articles linked below. Today, there are hundreds of people and documents that have shown, beyond a doubt, that UFOs exist, and that some of them could be extraterrestrial, and others, our own advanced technology. The documents show objects traveling at unattainable speeds, and performing maneuvers that no known aircraft can perform. There's one regarding an encounter over Antarctic military bases describing red, yellow, and green flying saucers that were spotted hovering for more than 2 hours. As far as people, we have high-ranking military personnel, politicians, astronauts, and academics from different fields flat out telling us that we are not alone, and that this is known at the highest levels of government, or those who puppet the government. Whether it be a former chairman of the Royal Navy telling us that there is a serious possibility that we are being visited, and have been visited by people from outer space, a former chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee telling us that I do know that whatever the Air Force has on the subject is going to remain highly classified, or an Apollo 14 astronaut saying that there have been crashed craft, and bodies recovered, we have no shortage of high-ranking insiders attesting to the reality of this phenomenon. For decades, as General Carlos Cavero told the world in 1979, everything has been in a process of investigation both in the United States and in Spain, as well as the rest of the world. On a global scale, the nations of the world are currently working together in the investigation of the UFO phenomenon, and there is an international exchange of data. This is why so many academics, like Harvard professor and Pulitzer Prize winner John E. Mack, believe that it's both literally, physically happening to a degree, and it's also some kind of psychological, spiritual experience occurring and originating perhaps in another dimension. Perhaps his most astonishing investigation came from more than 60 school children in the town of Ruwa, Zimbabwe. Former Canadian Defence Minister Paul Hellyer also went on record stating that visitors from other planets came here decades ago. This all raises so many questions in so many branches of human knowledge. Take physics, for example. Jack Cashier, Ph.D., a professor emeritus of physics at the University of Nebraska, points out that there is another way, whether it's wormholes or warping space, there's got to be a way to generate energy so that you can pull it out of the vacuum, and the fact that they're here shows us that they found a way. So, as you can see, if you're a believer in the extraterrestrial hypothesis for a possible explanation for the already verified UFO phenomenon, you're not alone, and you are in good company. Intelligent beings from other star systems have been and are visiting our planet Earth. They are variously referred to as visitors, others, star people, ETs, etc. They are visiting Earth now. This is not a matter of conjecture or wistful thinking. Theodore C. Loder III, Ph.D., Professor Emeritus of Earth Sciences, University of New Hampshire. Extraterrestrial reproduction vehicles. Well-known aerospace journalist James Goodall, an accomplished speaker who specialized in the history, development, and operations of the world's only Mach 3 capable, manned air-breathing aircraft, who also wrote for publications such as Jane's Defense Weekly, Aviation Week and Space Technology, and Intervavia, interviewed many people from the classified black budget world. He did all of this while being the associate curator at the Pacific Aviation Museum. According to him, and the people he has spoken to, we have things out there that are literally out of this world, better than Star Trek or what you see in the movies. He also claims to have known Ben Rich, the second director of Lockheed Skunk Works, very well. In a video interview, Goodall stated that he spoke to Rich approximately 10 days before he died. About 10 days before he died, I was speaking to Ben on the telephone at USC Medical Center in LA. And he said, "Jim, we have things out in the desert that are 50 years beyond what you can comprehend. They have about 4,500 people at Lockheed Skunk Works. What have they been doing for the last 20 years? They're building something." Another source for Ben Rich's comments come from Jen Harzan, a senior executive with IBM, along with Tom Keller, an aerospace engineer who has worked as a computer systems analyst for NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. They discuss a talk Ben gave some time ago. On March 23, 1993, at a UCLA School of Engineering talk where he was presenting a general history of Skunk Works, he said, "We now know how to travel to the stars. There was an error in the equations, and we have figured it out, and now know how to travel to the stars, and it won't take a lifetime to do it. It is time to end all the secrecy on this, as it no longer poses a national security threat, and make the technology available for use in the private sector. There are many in the intelligence community who would like to see this stay in the black and not see the light of day. We now have the technology to take ET home." This brings us to the next point, the alien reproduction vehicle. This concept was introduced by Mark McCandlish, an internationally recognized artist who has specialized in aviation and conceptual art within the defense and aerospace industries for 3 decades. His father was a 25-year veteran of the U.S. Air Force, which is where he developed his love for the subject. He has gone on record stating his belief that carefully protected technology has been co-opted by an as yet unknown group, and the sequestration of this technology has provided this organization a great deal of leverage in global politics, finance, and international conflicts over the past 5 decades. Strong evidence shows, extraterrestrials have been shutting down nuclear missiles worldwide, for decades, but why? The United States tried to detonate a nuclear weapon on the moon, and somebody responded when we did. Before we get to the vehicle you see in the picture, it's important to note that there is evidence showing this type of exotic technology that dates back prior to the Second World War. A classic example would be the CIA keeping tabs on developments in Germany, as explained by this document, which looked into a German newspaper that recently published an interview with George Klein, famous engineer and aircraft expert, describing the experimental construction of flying saucers carried out by him from 1941 to 1945. Here is another authentic story, of a large UFO hovering over LA, which was witnessed by 1 million people. Dubbed the Battle of Los Angeles, it was an event that showed us how the US military was learning to lie about UFOs 5 years prior to the Roswell incident. Here's another document that goes on to mention an experiment described by Klein. The flying saucer reached an altitude of 12,400 meters within 3 minutes, note, I'm sure he meant to write seconds, and a speed of 2,200 kilometers per hour. Klein emphasized that in accordance with German plans, the speed of these saucers would reach 4,000 kilometers per hour. One difficulty, according to Klein, was the problem of obtaining the materials to be used for the construction of the saucers, but even this had been solved by German engineers toward the end of 1945, and construction on the objects was scheduled to begin, Klein added. He is the one who brought forth 400 verified, high-ranking former military witnesses, some of whom testified at the National Press Club along with McCandlish. Since then, multiple efforts have sprung forth, one being the citizens' hearing on disclosure that took place a couple of years ago. It was also held at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., and saw a number of professors, historians, scientists, and high-ranking political and military personnel gathered to elaborate on the ongoing reality of the UFO phenomenon to several former Congresspeople. Dr. Greer also released a previous film, titled Sirius, where he revealed having had high-level meetings within the Pentagon regarding the UFO, extraterrestrial topic. This was verified by Dr. Edgar Mitchell, the Apollo 14 astronaut who accompanied Greer on his meetings. The secret space program. Although there are still many people who would dismiss you for even considering there's any truth to a secret space program that has reversed engineered extraterrestrial technology, it comes from a place of innocent ignorance on their part. It's easy to condemn something without ever really looking into it, and this is a result of a small group of people and the corporations they run, controlling all major media networks, painting whatever picture, brainwashing, they'd like us to perceive about our world, and using it to their advantage. Just to reiterate that you are in the presence of good company, I thought I'd use yet another example. According to Herman Oberth, one of the founding fathers of rocketry and astronautics, flying saucers are real and they are spaceships from another solar system. I think that they possibly are manned by intelligent observers who are members of a race that may have been investigating our Earth for centuries. Oberth, Herman, flying saucers come from a distant world. The American Weekly, October 24, 1954. UFOs don't necessarily equate to extraterrestrial, but in some cases, they do. The programs doing this exotic work exist, and are known as Special Access Programs, SAP. From these we have unacknowledged and waived SAPs. These programs do not exist publicly, but they do indeed exist. They are better known as deep black programs. A 1997 U.S. Senate report described them as so sensitive that they are exempt from standard reporting requirements to the Congress. I just wanted to provide a little bit of background information about the secret space program and what could be going on in it. Thank you for watching. Please help spread the word by sharing and subscribing for more thought-provoking content. And give us a thumbs up if you liked the video. Your support is greatly appreciated. Be aware and stay safe out there.